And I actually,
We're live.
yeah, we're live, and we're talking
Talking
about
mashup.
mashups. Yeah, and I actually discovered a seal mash. Not, I don't think it's a mashup, but I think it's sampled from when Seal was still not known. But it was a track produced by a British producer, Joey Negro, when he was still doing hardcore house before he became famous. He wasn't even called Joey Negro back then.
I've always wanted to do guess it could be a comic book mashup where I've seen other people do it. Everybody's had this idea for 40 years where you take some old public domain comic and you strip out all the words and you put in your own words, which are usually funny.
Mm. Well, Marvel did a few of them a few years ago. Remember Marvel Redux?
Yeah.
They usually did that with romance comics.
Right. There was that guy who did it with romance. He bought a bunch of romance comics, or I forget what the name of it. I bought the main problem I found with it is they're never any funny. They're never funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something you have to do as a group. I think you need like 3 or 4 writers. And
Yeah,
the
so it can
odds
bounce.
of finding 3 or 4 people who want to do it are low.
I
Because
guess.
everyone I've read is usually by one, maybe there's 2 writers on it, and they're just not funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes,
the main problem.
right. You need about 3 or 4 writers, and you need all of them to want to do
Right.
the romance comic Redux
For free.
for
And it's
free,
not a project that's going to get you any money.
and then bounce off of each other so that they can all
Right.
agree that something's funny.
Right. That's a
Which is even more difficult.
right. And I know people who could have done it, but they never will because they're not really I mean, I've known enough funny people, especially at Marvel, that if it was a paying gig, it could get done. But there's no way that's a paying gig, so there's no way it's ever getting done. But someday I might set it up and try. Hello, Donald Rex. How are you
Hello,
doing
Donald.
tonight? But like I said, I've always wanted to try it, but every time I've tried it by myself, I get bored a page and a half in.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, this isn't funny. I got
Yeah.
nothing. No one on
Yeah.
here.
Right. And most romance stories were short,
Yeah,
not longer than 8 pages.
right. But even so, it would be something. Untamed Love. That's the name of the one that the guy did that he did with romance and put them out as Kickstarters. I think one of them made it to my local comic shop. I pre-ordered it and got it and was like, oh my God, this isn't funny at all. And it's really tough to make them funny. Because they're not made to be funny. You have to have a really, and maybe if you did some extra stuff with all of a sudden it turns into a whole big job, Good evening, Missing Mars.
Hello, Missing Mars. Kind of the one thing that could make it funny, but would also date it, is like you put anachronisms in there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do anachronisms, people usually tend to do, let's put things that are fashionable right now on something that was made in the 50s. And in 2 years' time, the fashionable stuff will look unfunny.
Because since we were just talking about music mashups, to make it more funny too, you could also mash up more than one public domain comic.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, now you're into a whole Photoshop job. Now you're in. It's just like, to make it funny, it's just more and more and more work, and it's just like it'll never happen.
Yeah, you could put a Fox and the Crow. You could copy the balloons from the Fox and the Crow and put it in a Spectre story. See if it's funny.
It won't be. There'll be some parts that are funny and some parts that are tedious.
Yeah.
And you'll have to make the tedious parts fun. So it's like it is certainly something with tons of potential, but no commercial value.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
No, it's like, remember when that guy on I don't even know who the guy was, but it was a meme for like 5 seconds. A guy put the last 3 pages of Wanted on the last 3 pages of Civil War, and
I don't
and it
remember that
works,
at all.
and that works because they were both written by Mark Miller,
Ah,
who writes in a similar
right,
style.
right.
So in the end, the page structure works.
Huh, huh.
But yeah, it's not really easy.
No. Like I said, I have known at least half a dozen people who could make it funny, but it'll never happen. That's the problem.
We could try transplanting a Chris Claremont comic onto a Roy Thomas comic.
Who'd know the difference? Now, transplant a Frank Miller comic into a Roy Thomas comic. You'll have lots of empty balloons that people will notice.
Or let's transplant a fight scene from a Frank Miller comic into the snow fight from the Alpha Fight comic by John Byrne.
Then it'll just be the Frank Miller comic. Yeah, it's like it's one of those things that could be really funny, but never at just and it's one of those things I've thought about since the early '90s. It struck me as something that could be really funny. And like I said, it struck other people too. It's not an original idea. Other people have tried it, and it's never been funny.
Yeah, those romance comics that Marvel did, they weren't really funny. I mean, it was obvious what they were trying to do, but it just didn't click.
Yeah. And Untamed Love wasn't particularly funny either. It was a bit tedious. I think that was it. It was Untamed Love, the name of the Frank Frazetta reprint. Geez, now I can't remember. Because there may have been an 80s reprint of Frank Frazetta romance comics called Untamed Love. I may be mixing up the names even.
Right.
The early 80s had some good reprints. Like in public domain stuff from the 50s in comic form.
Right. In Marvel and DC didn't do that because nobody was interested in reprinting their stuff. Well, maybe they were interested in reprinting their stuff, but they wouldn't allow it.
It wouldn't make enough money.
Right.
That's why they just didn't care. They couldn't be noticed. And as we know from my eyewitness accounts, Marvel has destroyed all of their 50s romance stuff. All the stats they had in the warehouse, they destroyed before they even scanned it in because Ike didn't, and Bill Jemas didn't want it to exist because it was embarrassing.
As opposed to things written by Bill Jemas.
Apparently, he didn't think Marvel was embarrassing. He thought it was brilliant.
Of course. Maybe we should transplant a romance comic into Marvel.
Marvel is perfect on its own. You don't have to do anything with it.
Marsha wonders how long Ted will be gone and pining away. Oh Ted, I wish you'd come home and ask me to marry you. But it would be the characters from Marvel.
Donald Rex says, still no DC Alex Toth book. Yeah, Alex Toth is one of those guys who's an artist's artist, and the rest of the world doesn't seem to care about him. Fans don't really care about Alex. There have been plenty of Alex Toth books over the years, and they just go out of print and demand high prices on the out-of-print market and never come back into print.
Well, Alex Toth looked like a guy trying to be European, and he wasn't good enough to be European. Well, why? The guy, remember that Alex Toth was invited to draw that Spanish book, Torpedo.
Yes.
And the Spanish guy replaced him, was better.
He was
and cheaper.
no, he wasn't better.
And
If you think any European is better than Alex Toth, I question your judgment.
Oh, he was definitely better.
He wasn't. Tit Goblin, I don't seem to find many comics funny. I enjoy the medium a lot, but being scared or laughing at my books isn't a thing with me for whatever reason. I did laugh when I read it. Too much coffee, man. If you want to be scared when you're reading your or at least deeply disturbed, read Avatars. What is that book again that I just forgot the name of? Crossed. Oh. My autocorrect is acting odd again. If you want to be Crossed is the only book. Jordy Bennett may be better. Gulp. No, he's not. There's no one better than Alex Toth. There just isn't. He's that good.
Did you actually read the Torpedo reprints that IDW put out?
Yeah.
And you don't think that Jordy Bernay was better than Alex Toth?
I think Alex Toth's main problem is he's one of those masters without a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Because he never had good, he did all the stuff in the 50s and 60s and 70s. There's no Alex Toth. I would agree that all those European guys who you think are better than Alex Toth made better comics than Alex Toth. The comics they made are better.
Including the comic that Alex Toth started. Jordy Bernay gets invited everywhere in Europe on account of his work on Torpedo.
I don't think Jordy Bernay is bad. I just think Alex Toth is one of the A++ artists in comics. And most of the guys you're talking of will say the same thing. But there's no Alex Toth comics I can say, read this, it'll blow you away. All I can do is say, look at the pictures, it'll blow you away.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. But like I said, he doesn't, as comics,
he should have had a run on Fantastic Four, then people would know who he was.
Yeah, that's just it. That's why he's an artist's artist. He has influenced so many people. But his influence is hard to see because what Alex Toth could do so brilliantly is break things down into their most basic shapes, which is why he was so good at animation design, which is where he made a lot of his money. He is so good at composition. He is so good at storytelling. He can draw a brilliant drawing in fewer lines than anyone. And that's what artists appreciate about him. Mm-hmm. We know how hard that is. But once again, I could tell you to go look at Alex Toth's Zorro strip. Look at the pictures. It's great. But if you're going to read Zorro, you're going to be like, oh, it's okay. Because all the writing on his comics is just okay. Like his most famous thing at DC, I think, is his Black Canary, which is visually brilliant. But who cares? It's like an 8-page Black Canary story. How you doing, Wilson?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. Got back from the comic book shop and then had something to eat for dinner, and then I came on.
Tit Goblin says that Trees book you get, Jared. Yeah, I picked it up. Recent issue and the doll. It's great and possibly creepy. Yeah. Great art, too. The guy knows the human form. I thought Bruce Timm was a master. Oh, yeah, he's another one who was really good. Well, until I he was learning. Yeah, he's one of those guys who realized he was one of those guys who learned from Alex Toth, Bruce Timm. I mean, he didn't copy him. He was another guy who came out of animation, which is where he learned from Alex Toth. Like you will not find a better comic book artist than Alex Toth, but you will find plenty of better comics. Did you make it to the comic shop this week, Wilson?
As a matter of fact, I did. Went to Midtown Comics and picked up a book that was waiting for me on my pull list and grabbed a few off the rack.
Uh-huh.
And the train was crowded, so I didn't get to sit down and read any of them on the way.
I got 9 this week. Second big week in a row. Darwin Cook. Darwin Cook is an interesting artist to me because he's one of those guys. There are some artists that when I flip through their work, I don't like it. But when I read their work, I love it. Darwin Cook is one of those guys. When I flip through a Darwin Cook book, I'm like, I don't really care. For some reason, just the look of his artwork doesn't grab me. But when I read a Darwin Cook book, I love it. His storytelling is so brilliant.
There's one great thing that Darwin Cook did that nobody will say that was his best thing ever.
What's that?
There's a chapter in. So you remember that Darwin Cook did the Stark novels?
Yes.
An adaptation of the Stark novel. Okay. And in the first one, I haven't read the original books.
Mm-hmm.
I presume that there was a chapter talking about how the syndicate worked, and somehow Darwin Cook managed to do a chapter on it inside the graphic novel that's in a completely different style from the rest of the story because it's nothing but exposition.
I gotta look. I have my copy. I thought it was right up here.
Of Parker?
Yeah, Parker the Hunter.
Yeah, that's the first one.
The first one, which I've got autographed by Darwin Cook, my friend Bunch. Got it autographed for me.
Yeah, there's a chapter with a different art style that's him just it's nothing but exposition on how the syndicate works.
Let me see if I can. We've got some that are just exposition, big chunks. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's what you mean, though.
No.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh, maps. Oh, here we go. Let me see if I can show you this.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Solo? Oh, I think I got to get rid of that. There's no Solo anymore. What's going on? Remove from stage, mute, edit mic settings.
On your face? You can do it on your face?
No.
What the hell?
Oh, hold on. There's a little maximize. Okay, they changed it. It now says it's not where it used to be.
No, it's not that. No. The art. It's like it's like the safety tips on an airplane leaflet.
Let's see.
But it's supposed to have a simplified art style.
Let's see if I can find it. He's got a map. Oh, he's got double page book 3.
You should identify it because it looks more cartoony than the rest.
We got that. We got book 4. I don't see it. We've got that. The shorts in book 1.
You know what? Maybe the second one is the outfit, right?
I don't even know.
Oh man, maybe it is on the second one. I was pretty sure it was on the first one.
Might be the second one because I don't see, as I flip through, I don't see that simplified art style. I am enjoying flipping through it though.
Mm-hmm. But that thing was perfect.
Yeah, really, I enjoyed this thoroughly. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Put it back up there. Yeah, it looks like they the solo layout used to be in the 3 dots. Now it's got 2 arrows pointing to the either side.
It's been on the arrows for a while.
It has not been on the arrows in mine. They must have updated something. They must have updated something. Oh, one thing I bought this week is a new brush pen. Just because I saw TikTok of Scotty Young, and this is the brush pen he used. And I was like, I may as well get one. Because I actually prefer brushes much more to brush pen, but I've got a Pentel brush pen that I use every now and then. And I was like, and he said this one, I also did, he said that's the brush pen, and this is a Lame fountain pen refill converter. So instead of using the little cartridges of inks, you can fill this up with your own ink and use it, which you can do with this pen, but you cannot do with the Pentel brush pen, which is pretty good too. But I was like, I'll get one of those. It was about $30 for this. Plus, I think the converter was another $10 for two converters. Not like I have two pens, so this one will just sit here.
Right.
I'd show you that too.
Nice. Where did you pick it up?
Amazon, I got it off of. Another thing I got off of Amazon. I'll show you this just because. Where'd it go? Treasury edition comic book bags.
Oh, nice.
I've had all my Treasury editions unbagged all these years, and got that Kirby book last week. So I was like, you know what? $20 on Amazon. I was like, all right, I'll get some.
Do they also make boards?
They also make boards. The boards are more like the bags were $20 for 100, and I think the boards were $30. But I don't remember if it was 100 or 50. But I was like, maybe I'll get the boards someday, but not today.
Yeah. They went this long without them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I've bagged up all my Treasury editions that have been unbagged all these years. Huh. Tomorrow is National LCS Day. Support your local comic shop.
I did that today.
Those brush pens are great. Yeah, they're pretty. I wouldn't call them great. I'd call regular brushes great, and they're the next best thing to great. If I was like needed a brush when I was traveling, I'd probably think they were greater. But I'm not traveling anywhere and inking with a brush. But I still like them. I still like to get them. I still like to mess around with them. But I prefer a real brush. Winsor Newton Series 7, number 3. Still tough to beat. And a little jar of ink.
Yep. And speaking of Windsor, today is Windsor McKay's birthday.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
What year was he born? Do you remember?
1869.
1869. That was a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
That's what it says. He's on the Grand Comics database.
The father of animation, as well as a famous cartoonist. Where'd my... Let's see. AK paint pens. Look into them. Artist breast acrylic brush pen paint pen I've ever used. AK Playmakers. Oh, that's the acrylic brush pen. Paint pen, not pain. Artist pain them. Playmakers. Yeah, I've been trying out so many acrylic paint pens because they've made so many of them over the last couple of years. Want to show us a comic, Wilson?
Sure. So one of the books I picked up, this is on my pull list. I didn't get to read it, but it's Superman, issue number 30. And it's Superman and Booster Gold against the Legion. So they're somewhere in time in a alternate future where Darkseid has somehow taken over the Legion of superheroes and made it his own. And Superman teams up with a Superboy that has been exiled from reality, but remembers the reboots. And
is that Superboy Prime?
Yes, it's
Okay.
Superboy Prime. And if you remember from the last issue, it ends with him betraying Superman, which is what he warned him would happen. And he's siding with the Legion. And that's all I could tell you because that's all I peeked in up to.
Haha. A special sneak peek.
You know, we have to put into the heads of all of the editors that they should not allow redesigns where characters with full face masks wear beards.
Yeah.
Okay, who's doing that? Was someone there have a beard? I didn't even notice.
Oh, you're
Blue
probably
Beetle.
thinking of Booster Gold.
Booster
Oh,
has a
Booster Gold's got a beard?
Yeah, he has a beard, but to be fair, he was taken prisoner, and he had just gotten freed by Superman. Look how skinny he is.
So he didn't have a chance to shave yet.
So he didn't get to shave. He was literally.
Hold that up again. I want to see how skinny he is. Oh yeah, there you go. He's skinny Booster Gold.
So he was captured. So that's not. So it's not a new design. It's just how he is at the moment.
They wanted to show the passage of time and how long he's been captured.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I don't see him again until. Okay, here's another shot of him.
Who's doing the book? Oh, there you go.
Let's find out. Find out together. The quest is going to be finding the credits page because it's not going to be in the first couple of pages.
Boy, these arrows are a lot easier to use than the 3 dots.
The writer is Joshua Williams.
Okay, I've liked some of his indie comics writing.
Williamson,
yeah.
Joshua Williamson. Dan Mora is the artist and cover artist.
What did he do? He did that King Arthur one that I can't remember the name of.
I don't recall the name myself.
That was an indie book. It ran about 30 issues. It was the one that took place in England and had all sorts of old myths were coming to life. What the hell was the name of that? I bought 30 issues of it. You'd think I'd remember. But Dan Mora drew that one. It was good.
The Once and Future.
Once and Future. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Once and Future.
I still need the last trade paperback that finishes the story.
The colorist is Alejandro Sanchez, and the lettering is done by Ariana Maher.
Okay.
Hopefully I said those correctly. And here is what the credit page looks like. If it comes in. There you go. And then they have some various colors, cover artists. So the artwork has been great. There's been enough, I guess you could say, silliness in it because of the fact that they're trying time traveling and they're dealing with breaking of reality. Superboy Prime can break through time, space, and reality because that's how powerful he is supposed to be in this. And he, as I mentioned before, is aware that the universe has gone through a couple of reboots because in this reality place he was in, he could actually witness everything that's going on. Plus, I think while he was there, he kind of went insane. So is he really witnessing it, or he's just crazy enough to, comics is the reason, really. One of the other people that has that is the Joker, who is so insane that he remembers other realities. And every now and then, when the writer remembers he does that, he makes a hint about, oh, we've teamed up with the Marvel people before. You just don't remember it. Those weren't the exact words, but it was to that effect the last time when there was a crossover back in the 90s. There's a current crossover going on now, so I can't say the last crossover because there's one going on now.
Donald Rex says, I found an interesting 70s Charlton story by Tony Williamson. Ever heard of him? I have never heard of him.
I have not either.
They had some 70s Charlton sometimes had old guys and new guys working for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a name I have not heard of yet. How about you, Paolo? Any clue?
No, but I'm not an expert on
On Charlton?
Charlton. So let's see
Charlton.
what we can find. Tony Williamson. Okay,
What?
so he has a page. Also goes by the name Tony Bill when working with Bill Fraccio. Yeah. Okay, yeah, he seems to have worked a lot in the 50s and 60s. Warren. Oh,
Warren.
wait a second. It's not a real person.
Oh, is it a pen name?
It's a robot? It's AI?
Yeah, it's Bill Fraccio working with Tony Tallarico.
Ah. That is Williamson, a new guy, I think, or two old guys. Forming Voltron.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of when you have Jim Starlin and Al Milgrom together. Occasionally, you find the books called Gemini, which is just Jim and I.
And of course, there were the covers by who did them? Bill Everett and Marie Severin. How did they sign it? Seven. They had a signature from when they worked on covers together in the early 70s at Marvel. I can't remember how they said it. It was Severin and Everett.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. Ooh, what was pull out one of them and look at them. I just remember there being a 7 in there, but they're nice covers. Of course, Bill Everett and Marie Severin.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I didn't know that. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
If I can find anything here. And then there was Albert Levinson. Which was Brett Levins working with Al Williamson.
And one of the comics I got this week was really sweet. Quick Stops, Volume 3, Number 2, which I never even noticed there were 2 volumes to begin with. I would have gotten them.
I saw the alternate cover and I was very tempted to pick it up.
This is Kevin Smith's tribute to Shannon Doherty. So he does a riff on Animal Man and Grant Morrison here. He even mentions it. He goes, "Oh, I know. You're all out there saying I'm not as good a writer as Morrison. I know. So he gives us some behind the scenes look at his friendship with her over the years. He was friends with her for 30 years. And then he mentions Mallrats 2, which got as far as the script stage, but then of course never got to make it. So then he took the first scene in the script of Mallrats 2, which is Shannon Doherty and Jason Lee. And who's the artist on this? Ryan Gajda, Gajda. Letters by Andrew Thomas. And they just... And it was funny, I've just been rewatching My Name is Earl, who Jason Lee plays. So I was reading this in his voice. But it was, then he ends it with, he wraps it up with a little tribute to her. So it was really sweet. A sweet,
very
sweet
cool
comic.
I feel bad I didn't pick it up. I saw it on the stands. It's like, oh, it's issue 2.
They're individual. They're not, it's not one big story. Random Reed says, "Love Kevin Smith read that last night." Yeah.
I didn't realize
Kevin.
that.
Hello there, Captain Finney.
Hello.
Love his movies. Yeah, me too. He read the script to Mallrats 2 on his video cast one day. Yeah, I think he read it with her, he said in here. So you can go to his podcast and hear her read it. Question for Wilson and other fans of the big two superhero books. How do you stay invested in characters that in their institution get set back and put in the constant character loop? I would say he dips in and out.
That's exactly the answer. For years, I didn't. There
Right.
was from 1983 to 2004, I was constant reading books I would pick up. It also helped I was getting them free from Marvel from
Yeah.
1994 to 2004. So it
Yes.
helped that I got all those books for free. So, but yes, it was dip in and out where it's like when I was interested in them. And then after I left Marvel from 2004 to about, I would say 2008, I was I had made the choice of what I wanted to constantly read, and I enjoyed them up to a certain point. Then once the comic shop closed up, that was kind of done, and that kind of gave me the reason of, oh, I don't have a home shop anymore. I'll ignore the one that's a mile away from me that I could walk to, and I'll ignore all the ones that's in the city that takes me a half an hour to get to. But it was easy for me to stop for a while.
I think you
And
started buying more once you started doing the show with us.
yes, I completely blame the show because it's like I kind of wanted to experience not only going weekly but reporting on them.
Yeah.
And the difference now than before, before I would never drop a book. I
Yeah.
would keep on with a book because I read it long enough to know that sometimes the stories will ebb and flow.
Right.
I used to joke that, when I started reading the Hulk was being written by Peter David. He turned a different color. The leader was the villain. Almost exactly 10 years later, the Hulk changed his color. The main bad guy was the leader, and it was written by Peter David. That's where I first saw that kind of, oh, it's a never ending fight kind of a thing. So it's like, so things repeat itself, things ebbs and flows. I've read enough Spider-Man to go, oh, they were some bad years. And then there was also some fascinating art years to watch John Romita Jr. experiment with his art style from Spider-Man to Spider-Man, but in between you had X-Men and the other books he was doing where he got into a really weird stage that he was almost emulating Nigel designs, and then he's down to the John Romita Jr. that we see now. But it was fascinating to watch that art style progress. You could almost say the same thing with Frank Miller. You watched how he went from Daredevil, Ronin to The Dark Knight Returns, and watched that whole change in art style. It was fascinating to be a part of. So, because of that, I found it interesting to be, but that was more following an artist than following a particular title and book. And then now, if I don't seem to be liking a book, I'm fine with dropping it.
Yeah. I think for like mainstream comic book fans, you have to, because eventually everybody gets tired of, so there's enough ebbs and flows where you sort of lose touch with the book. And what happens to a lot of people is they end up on the modern comics suck bandwagon, and they never buy comics anymore. And then there's as Random Reed said here, I follow Peter David from title to title, Straczynski, Slott, Gaiman. You either learn to follow the creators rather than the characters, or you do what Wilson does and you check in with the characters. You're like, Spider-Man was my favorite. I'll check in and see how it is. And if I like it, I'll buy it. You don't take it personally.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
I don't identify myself through Spider-Man
Right.
anymore.
Right. You have to learn not
to
do.
still picking up toys.
Right. So many people are like, no, modern comic books suck. And comic books were so much better in my day, which is not true.
Yeah, I usually did that with someone like Daredevil, and it was okay. But with me, what happened is that the Avengers. I've been reading the Avengers longer than I've been alive because I was born in '79, and the first Avengers stories that I read were from '74, and since then until about 5 years ago, I read pretty much everything.
Right.
And so I knew if there was one thing in the Marvel universe that I knew was the Avengers. In fact, if you're reading the Avengers, you're reading the Marvel universe. You don't need to read anything else.
And I found
and I just figured out they stopped being the Avengers. Now they were something called the Avengers, which was just there to service the trademark.
Because our lawyers demanded it.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not even the movie kind of ruined. Okay, now who are the Avengers? Now the Avengers are Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, and the Hulk, because they're the movie characters.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Now the Black Widow has to be on the Avengers all the time
because Scarlett Johansson is cute.
Synergy are some of the words that get put around at Marvel because they think
synergy.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly sure what that means, but it's not working.
Brandon Reed says, I tend to follow writers rather than the characters. That's when I like the writer, I read whatever. I follow creators too. But I'm an indie guy also. But that's what you have to do. When you sort of, if you want to continue to read comic books, you can't expect the comic book you bought at 14 to be the same 50 years later, at 64. You just can't do that.
And you don't stay with the writer. We don't stay with the writer forever either. But
you don't have to stay with the writer forever.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's usually that period. So I had the Kurt Busiek period, and I had the Peter David period, and I had the Grant Morrison period. And throughout that time, I read a bunch of his works, and I was happy.
Yeah, great question. My answer is I don't stay invested. I like finite stories. They can go on for decades, like Cerebus, but not forever. And like I said, indie stuff is different because it's one creator. So it's a difference. I do prefer stories with beginning and end, like Cerebus. I also like stories that you can live with, that don't have a beginning and end. I always buy Amazing Spider-Man regardless, even when it's bad. LOL. It's okay to have a book like that.
Yeah.
It's okay to have like maybe a book or two that you just like to collect, even if it's bad, because you've always collected it. But you don't get mad at it. You don't say, or this book sucks and get mad at the book. You're just like, it's not, I'll continue to buy and read. So I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with if I had like one book I bought all the way through. Like if you have like one, like I occasionally would like to check in with the Hulk or Captain America. I haven't in ages. The problem I have nowadays is like the last time I checked in with the Hulk was after Planet Hulk, and I was reading Scar, Son of Hulk, because I wanted to check in with the Hulk, but you can't. I don't know which one's the Hulk anymore. It's like, and with Captain America, it's like I want the Steve Rogers Captain, but which one is? So there's like so many versions of every character that I stopped even checking in after a while because I couldn't figure out which was which.
That was my
but I
problem.
don't, I don't say they all suck. I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, so I think for me the easiest thing was to pop back in and out.
Yeah.
To see what I like. And if I really wanted the Spider-Man stories that I miss, I'm able to find them online. I had an account with the Marvel Universe thing to read them on the iPad. So I did that, and occasionally if I just want to read a storyline or get the storyline, I go to YouTube and watch Comic Explain. And he tells me the whole thing. It took a little while to get used to his way of storytelling. And again, it's kind of like one of those things is like I'm getting the information I need. It just took me a while to be listening to the story in someone else's voice.
You had to get used to him.
I had to get used to him, but I enjoyed what he put out. And so I was able to like catch up on storylines. And, sometimes part of me is like, hey, why don't I go back and collect every Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I don't.
What do I collect? Why don't I collect every single? Then you go, why?
Yes,
like we discussed
exactly.
last week.
It comes
But
to that.
why?
Yes. So it's that kind of thing where I like to check in, and some of them were hard to check in, like the X-Men. Had no idea where to even begin, and it was like there was a couple of books that was like, oh, you could start here. And it's like this is the middle of another story. Why is it in issue number one? So I now don't get mad of like modern comics isn't done right. I get more upset or annoyed that it's like, oh, this is odd way to start a storytelling, or even worse, production wise, why is this way? Why was this, so I get sometimes caught up and get more upset on the production end of something.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
this didn't need to happen, and this wasn't.
Mhm.
I think the one thing that really bugged me is years ago. It was a black and white Marvel comic, and it's like, why is this the same price as a color book? I know they saved a ton of money. Why is this the same price?
Because
That
they saved a ton of money.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. How much money did they save through Nuff said by
Yeah.
for 1 month not having to pay
Yeah.
all the letterers?
Tit Goblin says, when I came back to comics, I invested in finding art styles and creativity. I haven't seen much, or it's new to me. Anything different is what I'm into. Yeah, that helps. That it helps that stuff is clearance bins. Yeah, he seeks that. He's like me, he likes the different stuff. So it's a different. I avoid all other spider titles. There's just too many. Yeah, you got to find the one. Captain Finity says, an ostensibly finite story that suddenly stops is the worst. Looking at you, George R.R. Martin says, I am still waiting for the end of Uber Invasion, but Avatar hasn't gotten back to business. Agreed, Cap. And also, Negation from CrossGen, one of my favorite unfinished stories. I
Hey.
wish they could finish that one.
Isaac Asimov promised to come back from the dead to finish the last 400 years of what is that thing called?
Robot?
No.
What was it? The one that they just made into a TV show, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But speaking of DC continuity, I picked up the latest history of the DC universe with Scott Koblish connecting covers with 1 million figures on them. And I was a little taken aback by the Watchmen stuff. I was like, that's right. Watchmen's in the DC universe now. I don't think they've actually mentioned them in this issue. And there's the back too.
No, they're probably on contract to put him on the cover.
Yeah.
So this way here, we don't have to give any money to the other guy.
Mhm.
There's the whole thing.
For a half a second, I was going to ask, who's the duck on there? But it's the logo from StreamYard.
There's Rorschach down there. The comedian next to him. Oh, that's Night Owl too, right? And of course, Dr. Manhattan.
Is that a particular time period? Because all those costumes look like they're 80s
Yeah,
and 90s.
They've been going through, and this one doesn't have, Michael Allred isn't it? The art from last issue was exceptional. The art in this issue is okay. Michael Allred, and I forget who the other guy was, but this issue is by Dan Jurgens, I think, was one of the artists. Dan Jurgens and Douglas Monkey. Mahnke. I've never been sure how to pronounce his name. Well, of course, I got the Scott Koblish version of the cover, too. Oh, look, we got... I get caught up looking at all the figure. Warlord on the back, too. You know how it is.
Yeah, I know exactly how it is.
This one has a lot. It's it's got a lot of crisis. In the back, they tell you where everything came from. So in this we got, let's see, we start with 1985, Crisis on Infinite Earths, 85, 84, 86. So this must be the 80s. Goes into 95, 94, 87, 1998. It goes all the way up to. So this must be the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, 97. Because it's like the complete must be like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Now we're 80s, 90s, and the fourth issue is the aughts and the teens. So it's all about the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Hal Jordan goes crazy and then becomes the Spectre. We get all that in there, but nothing. I don't even think they mentioned the Watchmen. We get into Sinestro War, and they mentioned all the colored lanterns. But as the art was fine. There's nothing wrong, and because it's mostly like prose and pictures of what's going on. But It's just that the art in issue 2 was exceptionally good. It was just so beautiful. I mean, this one works fine, nothing wrong with it, but 2 was just exceptional. So figured I'd mention that again. Changeling on the back. I don't know who that little duck is. Oh, that's Captain Carrot and his Amazing Zoo Crew. All right, I got to put this down, or I'm just going to keep
it. Believe you me, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, when we
that's what I call a figure.
When we did Chris's official handbook covers, it was easier to spot everyone because they were spread over 20 issues.
Right. I like one. Yeah, like who was Aftershock? When Aftershock a couple of years ago was putting out all those like one-shot graphic novels, I ended up buying all of those just because I was like, I always say I'd like to, if they had the European sort of graphic novel format over here, I'd buy them. So I and probably nobody else was buying those. A nice single issue story can be great. Yeah. That is true. I wonder if I had any of those this week. Yeah, like this. This was a nice single issue story. Want to show us another one, Wilson?
Sure. So as I was looking at the rack, I ended up picking up an issue of Vampirella. It's called Halloween Horror from Dynamite Entertainment. Okay. This is actually more for work purposes than it is for reading purposes, because I will read the story, but it's more to have what is Vampirella kind of doing nowadays, her look, mainly because I'm working on the Vampirella sketch cards for Dynamite Entertainment. And I was like, it's been a while since I've actually picked up a book. Let me see if there's any difference in styles of artwork. And it really isn't. It's most of the same type of stuff, but there's some really cool facial shots with her fangs that kind of look neat. So maybe I would try to recreate that type of stuff. It's more just to have more references around and to, again, just to have this in case I need it. Plus, with the sketch cards, it doesn't always have to be just Vampirella. It could be characters in the comic books as well.
That nice angel character there, you can make a sketch card out of.
Exactly. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's been a long time since I got any of these, and I figured, why not get it? Because at the end of the day, it's Vampirella, so it's kind of neat.
Yeah. Random Read says Loch Nguyen is working on Vampirella sketch cards too. I don't know that name.
The last name is familiar, but there's a couple of artists I know with that same or that similar last name.
Yeah.
So that was basically, let me grab an issue of Vampirella. It's an issue number 1, and it was like, let me give that a try. I didn't check to see if this might have been drawn by. Let's see. Liam Johnson is the writer, and Jordan Michael Johnson is the artist.
Johnson & Johnson.
Michael Woods is the colorist, and Carlos M. Mangal is the letterer, and it's edited by Matt Idelson, who we know from Marvel.
Captain Finity.
Deadpool.
Okay. That's why I've been working on my Captain Finity book for 20 years. got to get the whole thing finished before I release even one page. So it'll be a single issue.
There you go.
Pulp Reader asks a question. How do you guys feel about landscape cover art on comics? I find it too awkward to justify buying even if I like the artist. The one that jumps to mind is who was it? J.H. Williams? What was that J.H. Williams book that he put out a couple years ago that was in landscape format? I'm a big J.H. Williams fan, though I haven't bought a lot of his stuff because he mostly does like DC comics. But I bought the first issue of his landscape comic. I too found it too awkward. But I said to myself, if they put this out as a nice hardcover, I'm going to get it. I'll see how it works as a nice hardcover. If it's not awkward as a hardcover, I'll get it because I like J.H. Williams. And I ended up getting it as a hardcover and really enjoyed it. Thought it was up there somewhere, but it must be.
Is it
my shelf? My comics are in order. My books are in no order, but by like size. So the J.H. Williams one I like, but like the comic itself that read in landscape format was too awkward. But for things like, I think I have, matter of fact, I think it was Darwin. I think it was Darwin. Was it Darwin Cook who did a month of covers for DC? I don't know about, it must be like 8-10 years ago now. Where he did a whole bunch of like, the one I have has them playing musical instruments and it's in landscape format. Just the cover is, the rest of the comic isn't. Echo Lands. There we go. Wilson. Echo Lands is the name of the comic. Yeah, that's the one that's in landscape format. But like the actual physical single issues were too awkward for me. I said, I need a structure to this book. But I really did enjoy the collected edition. But I did buy one of those Darwin, I think a Teen Titans Darwin Cook. But it's in my bought only for its covers section. So that's not quite the same thing. That's not, I just have to turn it. And I usually don't bag and board all my comics, but I bag and board the bought just for their cover section because I'm going to handle those more. Just because if I want to look at some covers, I go over to that section and thumb through them. So it doesn't bother me in that one. What about you guys?
On a cover? On a cover, it doesn't bother me. I can't.
Yeah.
The only ones I could think of off the top of my head was a McFarlane one that was done that way. I think it was McFarlane, or
I think so. It was a Spider-Man issue he had sideways.
It was a Spider-Man issue. I think he was either teaming up with the X-Men or the New Mutants, one of the two groups, and the cover was drawn landscape. I didn't mind it because for me, it's like, we turn it, look at it, oh, that's cool, and then you read the book. A book in landscape mode, I don't know. I don't think I've ever read one, or I can't think of one off the top of my head. I do find that sometimes when they mess with the size of a book, like the Mike Allred's, what was that, Red Rocket or Rocket?
Oh, yeah. Rocket, Red Rocket.
Yeah, that was made to look like an album cover, and that side, that was more of the inconvenience of bagging and boarding it. So storage of that was a bit odd to me. But there's plenty of books that I've read and I've had. Paper Cuts does this small book called Magical Mystery Tour, and these two kids will go through history. And so those books are printed in a small digest size that's almost square, but it's cool, it's cute, so it works for that because it's a tiny book.
Tit Goblin says it's the long shot sword in the Juggernaut's eye story, Wilson.
Yes. So that might actually
sideways cover one.
Yeah, so that was, I think, drawn by Todd McFarlane. It might have been inked by Rob Liefeld. Because I think Rob may have done the interiors, but I'm not positive. It's been so long since I read that.
Anybody remember an FF book that was landscape?
I No,
The cover was landscape.
I remember the cover. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
the
a
cover was
Kirby.
landscape. There was a John Byrne cover that was landscape.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't. And I know there have been comics that make you spin the comic as you're reading it. That always annoyed me.
uh-huh.
Have you guys ever seen the Marvel UK comic Titans?
I don't think so.
No, I
Okay,
have
so
not.
this was in the late 70s. The comic was horizontal,
Ah,
and they had to rearrange the Marvel comics in order to fit into an horizontal format.
wow.
Ah,
Random
yeah.
Reed says it was FF 252 that was all landscape, even on the inside.
What?
Okay, yeah, that was Byrne, and for me,
Right.
that was Byrne being Byrne, and I was like, oh, this is neat. For
Yeah.
one issue, that was fine.
I had a
Uh,
vague memory it was one of Burns' issues.
and there was
Oh,
like there was
it
I
was it
have it.
Marvel Fanfare? There's a Hulk issue where it's all splash pages.
yeah, it was the one that he said that Shooter didn't let him do, which was a lie.
Ah, let me see if I still have that issue of
And I
Fantastic
think
Four.
because I read a lot of those
I do.
newspaper strip books, Calvin and Hobbes and stuff like that, those are printed out in
Oh
landscape
yeah.
kind of mode. So for me, landscape doesn't bother me. It just opens up on the table and just read the whole thing.
Right.
Oh,
So
and in
to me,
Spain
that's fine.
in Spain in the 1950s, that was the standard format for newsstand comics,
Ah.
Oh,
horizontal.
okay. Mhm.
Let's see. Donald Rex says Frank chose Liberty Meadows was printed landscape. That's because it was a comic strip. And it
Yeah.
didn't bother me until they put the spine on top. I hated that. Oh wow, the spine on top. So they just
Yeah, I
took
can
a
see that. I can
standard
see
book
that. Mm.
and you had to turn the book to read it.
Like
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
calendar.
Yeah. At that point, that's the savings in printing.
Yeah. They really didn't put the spine on top. They put the spine on the left side and turned
Right.
all the
And
strips.
turn all the art to the side. Yeah. Yeah. To me, that's like, oh, we can either do it this way, or it's cheaper to do it this way.
Yeah.
And publishers will go for the cheaper. The first book may be the nice vellum cover and acetate type of stuff, but after that,
But Echolands actually had, the short side was the spine. So when you opened it, like in a single issue, it really flopped around. That's tough. At J.H. Williams at Echolands 6 issues with Image in 20. Oh, it was 2022. Yeah, the collected edition on that is really good. But I think Jared has a couple of issues. Yeah, I do. I bought one issue. I bought the first issue of it, and then I bought the collected edition because I said to myself, I don't like this short spine. I'm going to get the collected edition if it's good. Pulp Reader.
Oh,
So if you had a series and only one issue was landscape oriented, would it annoy you? Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't be annoyed
no,
if I wouldn't
no.
be annoyed if the entire series is landscape if it's meant to be landscape.
No, he means if you're looking through
Yeah,
your covers and one issue is landscapes, I have to kind of pull it out and look at it that way. I mean,
right.
to me, it would break
no,
up the monotony. I don't think I'd give it that much thought.
Yeah.
yeah, it wouldn't bother me. Maybe if I had like all the covers on the wall, kind of a thing. If I was
Yeah,
that kind of a collector, where where like at Marvel we had the cover wall,
right,
but that
right,
served a particular purpose. Um, if I worked at the comic book shop, maybe I'd be bothered by that. Visual wise, how am I going to put this book?
right.
It's
Because there's no
again
slot for it, landscape,
right,
to show it
and,
off.
and you don't want people to ignore it because it doesn't look correct. But to me, I don't think one issue would bother me.
I can understand it annoying someone.
Yes, there is that kind of a thing where
I can
someone may look at it.
No problem. I can understand it annoying someone. It just wouldn't annoy me that much.
Oh, and if you go through a French comic, an old French comic, up until it still existed in the 1960s, you'd find that the artwork, it was the page numbers were marked each half page because the first French comics came out in a newspaper, in Sunday newspapers. and it was kind of similar to an American Sunday strip. So when they got reprinted in albums, uh, you had the two strips, page one. The following two strips would be page two, and then in the next page, the first two strips are page three, and there's page four, but you're still on page two of story. But they also did that because it was most likely if that thing got reprinted somewhere else, it would go on the Sunday newspaper, where you need to reprint it as a half page.
Let me show you something that always annoys me. And that's when these are the Invincible volumes. And when you change the color every time on the design, that's fine with me. But never, ever, ever put yellow on white.
Oh.
That annoys me to no end because you can't see the 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't see the Invincible up top. Every one of them, you can see the numbers go along. But when we get to yellow on white, don't do that. Don't put yellow on white, designers. That's stupid. That's one thing that annoys me.
Yeah,
I
it's
see
yellow
these
on
all
white.
the time on my shelf, and I gotta shake my head. I'm like, yellow.
It's-
You just had to go with yellow, didn't you?
Yeah, it's the yellow on white and the red on black.
Yeah.
For me, the annoying thing that Marvel does is they'll start a hardcover series, and in the middle of it, they decide, let's change the design.
Oh, that annoys a
Yes.
lot of
Oh,
people.
it's like we're on 5. Why is 6 a whole new brand design altogether? Whose ego is being stroked at that point to go? And maybe people aren't buying these because we need to change the designs.
Chuck Krasinski.
Thor, Walt Simonson Visionaries. Volume 1. When do you introduce the new design? Volume 2.
And be a different size. That's what irks me. If you want it to look nice on the
Krasinski of Mile High Comics
uh-huh.
complained so much when Marvel Masterworks changed their design. And of course, he sells a lot of Marvel comics at Mile High Comics and such. That's when Marvel started offering for $5 extra. You could buy the old dust. You could buy the new Marvel Masterworks in the old dust jacket, so it would match your. So for years, like this is back in the early 2000s when I was still at Marvel. They all for $5 extra, they offered it in the old dust jacket. And how much extra it cost Marvel?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not a thing.
They just charged $5 extra for it because they could. Pulp Reader, I'm that someone. Yep, he's that someone that bothers. PvP was another comic I think was putting out online strips. Yeah, that was a popular one.
Yeah, I bought it.
Batman 9 Lives is Landscape. I don't remember that one at all. Captain, at least put a black key line around that yellow. Yeah. Give it a stroke. It just, you can't see it. Didn't anybody notice it?
And
Donald Rex. I still like the old DC Wednesday Comics tabloid format. That's one of the ones. I like the size of it. The Wednesday Comics. I think I have. It's in the other room. I have the. That's one. I thought it was a good idea. Do you guys remember Wednesday Comics?
Yeah.
Must be a decade old now. It was when DC decided they were putting out a newspaper every Wednesday with full-size comic strips in it. So it was really cool in that you got these full-sized comic strips. Yeah, Random Read says, I have all those Wednesday comics. And they were on, they were folded like a news. So folded up, they were, I think, this size, but they unfolded like this big. The main problem I had with it was the production wasn't good on it because none of the sort of artists and colorists were used to working on uncoated cheap paper like that. The comic, a lot of the artists and writers didn't really know how to do a comic strip, so it was really just one comic page in their story. It didn't, at least like half of them didn't feel like a comic strip to me, so that kind of disappointed me a little. So I like bought the first issue of it and said, let me do the math on this. I think it was like $5 an issue. $5 an issue, 12 issues, $60. I think they're going to put out a nice hardcover of this for way less than $60. So that's what I did. I waited for the hardcover and I bought the hardcover and enjoyed that. It was much better printed. And the stories read better because most of them weren't designed to be comic strips. But yeah, Wednesday Comics was a fun thing. I just didn't want the actual week-to-week issues.
Right.
Did you ever see any of that? Do you remember that, Wilson, at all?
I remember it came out, and I remember that was something that's like I definitely would, if I was in the heavy collecting, I would have definitely got that because I do like those ephemera that when comic companies put stuff out that gives you like a bit of the inside of what's going on in the other books. I was a big fan of like
Oh no, this had
Marvel
none of
Age.
that. This was just all comic strips.
It was just all comic strips.
It was just all comic strips. There was no information in there about that. It was strictly a let's do a Sunday comic thing.
Okay. I know I picked up one or two, but I don't think I collected that.
Yeah, like the Sunday comics page, exactly. It was a fun, like I said, only I think maybe 10 weeks.
12.
12?
It was
12 weeks?
12, yeah. Captain, I love me some ephemera. Yeah, I sometimes take the freebies from Marvel and DC at the comic shops, like the posters and the whatever little gimmick thing they have, and stick them somewhere and run into them every now and then and go, oh yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
Tit Goblin says, I think I saw facts of those on the new shelf this week. Big giant something comic strip out this week. Yeah, I think they just reprinted it. I vaguely remember seeing something about they're bringing that back into print, the oversized version. So, and another comic I got this week is Xander Cannon's Sleep #5. A good issue. They're getting more into the meat of this story, and this is the one. It's all been in grayscale and red until we reached this office, and all of a sudden it was in grayscale and light blue. There was a nice change of pace. But this is the one. It's named Sleep because the lead character, when he goes to sleep, a monster comes out and starts killing people, starts wrecking the town. At least that's what we think, because we've never actually seen the monster. We're watching this guy as he goes, the first night he wakes up in the morning and there's just a wreck everywhere, and he sees blood and he's like, what happened? And everyone in town is like, something happened last night. We don't know what. Some wild animal got loose. And so he's slowly trying to figure out and I think it was at the end of issue 3, he even tried hanging himself from a bridge. So the issue ended with him trying to kill himself, but the next issue started with him in a cave with a pile of bodies around him. So it's like that didn't work. So he's got his one friend, this woman, who's trying to help him figure out what's going on. And they somehow figured out it might have something to do with an accident in a mine nearby lately. So they're trying to send him down into the mine because that's where this monster may have come out of the mine and somehow they don't really. It takes place in a world just like ours, so they don't know what they're doing. They got no explanation, but they're trying to figure it out. So it's been a fun read. I like there's a blurb on the back by Michael Fitzgerald Troy saying, what the hell is going on here, Xander Cannon? This is literally driving me crazy. So that's what it is. We are right there with our main character trying to figure out what's going on. So it's been a good series. Let's see, what do we got here? Tit Goblin. It was $14, so I passed. It looked fun in an old-timey time way. Not for $14 though. That's a $3 thing at best. There's a 75 hardcover collection that's coming out September 26th, a reprint of the 2010 hardcover collection. I think the 2010 hardcover collection was only around $40 though, if memory serves, but I'm not 100% sure. But it wasn't as big as the full-size unfolded pages. So the full-size unfolded pages were still bigger than the oversized hardcover collection. Wednesday Comics hardcover came out at the end of August. Okay. Sometime it may hit the comic shops at the end of August, and it'll hit like the bookstores in September 26th. The originals were published in 2009. Wow. Time just keeps on moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, August 26th started. Okay, it was August. I even like the word ephemera, says Captain Finity. In fact, I just dropped it into page 8 of Captain Finity. Cheers. One thing I read this week, I forget who kept recommending it. I got some digital copies of Martian Manhunter.
Ah, okay.
The first 6 issues. I forget who it is who every week has been telling us about Martian Manhunter.
It was either Terrence or
wasn't Terrence. I don't. Well, he may have mentioned
Damien.
it.
Or Damien.
It wasn't Damien. It was someone else who has been mentioning it here every week. Donald, bad idea. Did a slabbed book with a bloody stake driven through it. A 1 in 1,000 edition of 36. They're always thinking of some fun marketing gimmicks. That's for sure. It was me. Eric P's been mentioning it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I read all 6 issues. And it's weird. I'm kind of mixed about it. First of all, the art is terrific, just like Eric P said. Art is terrific on it. Very imaginative. And what was weird was for the first 3, I read it on the train, first 3 issues on the way in, 4 through 6 on the way back. I don't know if that affected my reading of it, but in the first 3 issues, I had the same critique of it that I have of every comic like it, in that I was thinking, this would be better if it wasn't Martian Manhunter. Which sometimes I see when people are doing their takes on some mainstream character. It's like kind of the mainstream character hampers them. Because the first 3 issues were really... John Jones, or whoever it is an FBI agent, though he acts a lot more like a local cop. So I don't know what's going on. I don't think the writer knows a lot about it. It's not an FBI procedural at all. It's just an excuse for him to investigate stuff. So, but meanwhile, he's kind of, and he was just a normal human, and now he's kind of being haunted, and he can't figure out what's going on. He can't figure out what's haunting him. There's distance. Like his wife is complaining that he's not home anymore. They used to be best friends, and now he's just not home. He's always working. And he's always working, investigating stuff. And the main thing he's investigating is what's going on with him. But of course, we as readers all know what's going on with him. It's the Martian Man. He's the Martian Manhunter. But there's the art is very sort of indie comic art more than DC art. And it's very interesting visualizations, because as he's walking around, he's kind of now able to read people's thoughts. But it's not like the typical, you see word balloons over his head. Instead of there's like these rivers of rainbows flowing around the panel. And in each color of the rainbow is people's thoughts as he goes by. So it's just confusing the heck out of him. And at one time behind, at one time, like near the end of issue 3, all of a sudden he started going Dark Side is, in a reference to the Tom, what's that guy's name? The Mr. Miracle by Tom King. And I can't remember the artist's name. And I was like, they're introducing Dark Side? But then, like at the first 3 issues, I liked them. I kept reading. But I was a little, Issues 4 through 6, I was more like, oh, the only reason we understand this is because we know who Martian Manhunter is. So then, like issues 4 through 6, I wasn't thinking that this would be better if it wasn't a Martian Manhunter book. I was thinking, oh, they're doing some interesting things now, because all of a sudden, like I said, he's an FBI agent investigating stuff this whole time. And this whole time, there's weird things going on. And it turns out that the weird things are the white Martians, who are just these, they're just like figures with white circles for heads. So that's how they're visualized. And it's kind of like the Martian Manhunter is invisible, but affecting this guy. And the white Martians are invisible, but affecting other human beings. And the Martian Manhunter is fighting these other white Martians, but through this guy, and it's very, very trippy. There's not it's done very, very trippy, where we kind of, and I realized now that the only way they can do that trippiness is, like, I don't think you could do this trippiness if you didn't already know the characters. So, like I said, by issues 4 through 6, I was like, okay, now I understand. This has to be Martian Manhunter, or a character we already know, because he's playing with all the mythos of that character in a trippy way that's not sort of straightforward narrative. But I ended up liking it, I have to say. It was good stuff. So give it a read.
Yeah, when I was at the comic book shop, it was like they had all the issues. I guess they reprinted everyone.
They just came out this week. That's what Eric P. told us last week.
Yeah, so there's like a whole rack of them. It's like, oh, they got them all. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Or but wait for the collected edition.
Yeah, it was part of me is like, but those are second prints.
I
want to read the story. Why can I not just buy those?
Oh, I can.
Without
like these days, if I'm jumping on a book late, I'm 100% okay with second. But like a kid, like what was it? Department of Truth.
Right.
My first issue was like a 5th print, but I just spent like $10 or $15 a few weeks ago when I showed it off on a first print of issue 1, just because I liked the cover, and I was like, you know what, I'm buying all these other Walking Dead stuff. I may as well buy this. Which I'll show you a few. I'm down to only 3 issues out of the 50 that I needed for The Walking Dead. And these ones come with stories. Because we're down to Walking Dead number 6, which I think I had an estimate of this at about $100. That's what but then you get these ones that I'm like, oh, I'll take a chance on that one. Because this one I saw up there, not by an experienced seller, a couple of not very good pictures. And the only thing I could tell from it was that there was a bit of a rounded corner up there. You know, all the other corners were sharp. And I was like, which corner was rounded? No, it was this. It was this corner that's a little rounded. And I really couldn't see. And this one is hard to find in good shape, I noticed, because of the black. And like I said, I expected to pay a lot of $100. Eventually, this one, the price kept dropping on. And I put in an offer of $60, and they immediately accepted it. And so it cost me $70 altogether. And the only thing that bothered it, right there's a tiny scratch in the black. Other than that, I'm fine with it. But I was like, that's a. But I was like, I took a chance, and there's a tiny scratch in the black, and I looked at it with a loop to see if it was something on it or a scratch in the black. Never look at your comics covers with a loop. There are more marks and scratches on them than you could ever imagine. It's mint condition to the naked eye, but when you put a 10 times magnifier on that, it is not mint condition. And I'm sure that applies to every comic book. So I got this one. Once again, this was my week of taking chances. Took a chance on this one. It's in good for $60. I'm okay with it. The other one I took a chance on was this one. Once again, my estimate, Walking Dead 14, my estimate on this one was $40. And this was hard to get in good shape. Once again, because of the black. It's hard to get in good shape. And everything was going for way more than $40. And this one showed up for $10. Once again, not an experienced seller, bad photos, and had these scuffs on it. See that's big scuff down there?
Oh yeah, that's from holding the comic when you just pulled it off the rack, and
Something.
You're reading it in your hands.
They're not fingerprints though, so I'm not 100% sure.
You sure? Because that
they're not fingerprints.
That's
what that thing was near. That thing was near Steam.
Maybe.
I don't know. Here, I'll show it to you. I know what you mean, Wilson, but I don't see any fingerprints. Could have been something rubbed on it.
To me, it may have been like where he's holding the book.
Yeah.
Like this on the side, because there are ridges there that looks like fingerprints. And I remember like if you take a book right off the rack and it has a dark cover, and if you're just holding it while you're walking in the store,
and you're sweaty, and down, there might be some ridges right down on the bottom.
Yeah, so it may not be finger held, but it might be hand held where it gets on there. Like I had learned to like make sure that whatever I grab off the rack, the bottom one would be something that's kind of protected.
Everybody always picks the comic from behind the front one. I noticed no one picks the front one.
Yeah, exactly. I never picked the front one. You go.
That's one everybody picks up and looks at and puts back.
Yeah, exactly.
But for $10 instead of $4, and like I said, this one was because of all this black. It was hard to find anywhere near mint. And everything was either CGC'd or way above 40. So I'm like, you know what? For $10, I'll get the scuffed one. And it ended up costing me like 17 with shipping. But along with that, the guy also had a perfect condition of the Walking Dead Deluxe one in mint condition for $2.25. So I'm like, all right, throw the $2.25 one in there.
Yeah, exactly. And that looks like a really nice cover too.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'll get that one too, just for the heck of it. And then the last one I got was right before it, 13. Once again, this was a really hard one to get in any kind of mint condition. I forget what my estimate for this one was. Let me see if I can look here. What was my estimate for 13? My estimate for 13 was around $20. And everything was more than $20. My estimate, I wasn't getting anywhere near my estimate. And most, like this one right here, has got some spine ticks. It's got a couple of big spine ticks. There's one right there, which I could see in the.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? I don't want to spend $40 or $50 on it to get one. And this one ended up being $12. So my estimate was 20. I didn't see anything even near 20 for a while. My estimates were all based on sold sales already. So that's but this one took a month to get to me from the Bronx. I don't know why. Here's how I want to know how eBay works sometimes, because I bought this one. I think it said September 4. I bought it. A few days later, it said it was sent to me with no tracking. Who sends anything via eBay with no tracking these days?
Right.
And its estimate of getting there was like the 15th or the 16th. There's, the 7th through the 16th or something. It never showed up. Of course, I can't track it. So finally I think it was last Saturday after our show, I said to myself, well, let me see if I can send a message or something, whatever. See what's guy obviously said he sent it. So I went through eBay's stuff, and where you send the guy a message that say, hey, I still want this, what's up, or something like that.
Right.
Then I went, you know what? I don't want to bother the guy on a Saturday. I'll do it Monday morning. I don't want to bother him on a weekend. So I canceled out of the message. That afternoon, I got a message saying it was being sent. Here's the tracking number. And I was like, did eBay nudge him or something? It could just be coincidence. But it was strange it happened the same day that I didn't send a message.
eBay will send you a reminder if you haven't sent something out.
Right, but
there is a button you can press
right
on eBay that says you've sent it without putting the tracking information in yet.
Yeah.
Then it tells you got to put the tracking information.
It wasn't that. It was one that said sent, but with no tracking information. It wasn't the carrier is waiting to pick this up. Sent. It was sent, but no tracking information.
That's very odd. I have not heard that in any of the
no tracking. Even envelopes have tracking from eBay. Yeah. It could be eBay. Well, that's what I was thinking because it happened the same day. So it was a little strange. But it goes like, I'll do it Monday. I don't want to bother the guy on a weekend. How did they do that? Panels have an image you see through. They didn't. They just have the pages. Because one of the things that they did in the original issues, which I imagine is a reason for getting the original issues, is they have use your Martian vision to see what John sees. And you hold the page up to the light, and the image on the front of the page and the image on the back of the page make one image. They just put them on separate pages digitally. There's no way to do that digitally. And Paulo is right. Steam could be free DNA with every issue. Free DNA. If the person smudging my book is Amelia Clark, I'll happily pay double. Yeah, I don't know.
They could turn that specific file into a GIF.
They could, but they can't. You can't put a GIF in a CBZ.
No.
So that's just why. And if you like war comics, Rick Remender's Escape from Image is great. Issue 2 just came out. I got issue 2.
But you can't put a GIF on Read Comics Online.
You would have to do a one of those interactive comics things.
Yeah. No, but
so I did get this, and it's a flashback to his home life. I thought it was okay. I'm unsure if I want to get more of it. I don't think it's bad by any extent of the imagination. It's just like this whole issue was kind of a flashback, and then we just get back to the war at the end of this issue. So I might pick up a third issue. We'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I like it, but I'll have to see how many comics are going on my pull list. Captain Finity, as a customer, I insist on physical media. As a creator, my life would be easier if everyone bought digital. Oh, I as you can see, I buy physical media, but I try things out on digital sometimes. But I'm that kind of person you want to try out digital because I'll go and get the physical media if I like it. I'm not one of those people who only bootlegs things digitally and never buys things, as you can see by the comics I show every week. Want to show us another comic, Wilson?
Sure. I picked up this comic. This is the last book that I saw, and I decided to pick it up. This is called The Last Starship. So this is a Star Trek book by IDW that has a not so great logo design, but I get it. They're taking bits and pieces of the other logos from the various Star Trek eras. This takes place in the future after the Picard years, before the Discovery time jump, I believe. And this story would take place in a event called the Burn, where there was a disruption of all the dilithium crystals, and any ship that happened to be running that day spontaneously explodes through the galaxy all at the same time. That in itself was a mystery on how can every ship explode, and not only starships from Starfleet, but any ships that ran with dilithium crystals. So this is about a time period that we heard of in the shows, but we didn't get to see how it happened.
Who's doing
Uh,
it?
this is IDW is publishing it, and it is Jackson Lanzine is one of the writers. Colin Kelly is the second writer. Adrian Bonlina is the artist. Heather Moore is the colorist, and Clayton Cowles is the letterer.
Okay. I forgot to give the credits for Escape. Rick Remender is the writer. Daniel Acuna is the artist. And let's see who else. Russ Wutan is the letterer. Oh, Daniel Acuna is doing the art and color. I thought he was. It looked pretty painted.
The artwork is pretty good. They also have the luxury of having new characters. These are new characters in the story, so they don't have to. I don't think they have to worry about likenesses issues. I do know that working on Star Trek or working at Marvel when they had the Star Trek license, where there was always some back and forth, because for a while even the Star Trek actors could or would approve pages and stuff like that. I believe the gist of the story is that the reason why it's called The Last Starship is because they were able to find pieces and basically put together a starship. And I'm going to guess is to try to find out either what started the burn, what caused the burn, or stuff like that. Since I already know I watched the shows, I know what was going on and what created the burn and and how they dealt with that. But it was interesting to see what happened right after the burn, where you basically have the fall of Starfleet because nobody had ships, they couldn't go anywhere, they couldn't protect people, and it is the fall of an empire, so to speak.
Right.
So I found that interesting. So I was like, I'm going to pick it up and check it out.
I think Random Reads is talking me into getting issue 3. I agree issue 2 is not as good as 1, but I'm getting 3 for sure. I'll stick with it for a few issues at least. Yep. I'm enjoying Red Shirts. That's another series.
That's another series. I have not picked that up. I don't know how good that is.
This
is my first dip into the Star Trek comic books in a very long time.
Tit Goblin says local Newfoundler, I can't even say that, was doing a lot of new Star Trek stuff. The word was too long for me to get through, even though I know how to say it. Newfoundlander. Like most of the new Trek books, he didn't do yours though. Okay. I like most of the new Trek books. Okay. Yeah, see, that's one of the reasons I like individual issues too, is, someone can talk you into get going for another issue, so you can chat about it, and that's
That's
what's
one
fun about individual issues.
one of the few things I missed about working in a comic book shop is talking to people who were buying stuff and testing stuff out. And
Yeah,
a lot of times we had, so the way we structured it, even though New Comic Book Day was Thursday, we always told everyone to show up at about 4, because this way here the books will be on the rack, the pull list would be completed.
hmm,
And the other reason was the best customers usually were the ones that were selling books to the other customers.
right.
They're all standing there talking to each other, and usually it's the same group of people that came in waves. The people who got off of work at 4, who got off at work at 5, who got off at work at 6, always came to the shop first, and then they would just all be talking to each other, saying, "Oh, what are you reading this week?" And you know, again, that ended up selling more books that way. You'd be talking to people, and it's like, "Oh, have you tried this?" Sometimes you would recommend books or say, "Oh, this is the book I was talking about last week." And that's the type of stuff I miss. So you get a little bit of that at Midtown, because I do. That's why I go to that Midtown, because there's at least a more back and forth with the guys selling there and just talking about
Right.
comics and stuff like that. So I enjoy that. But it's not like when it used to go to this one shop in the village. I would spend hours just talking to the owner because he was a fellow Spider-Man fan, and we would just talk
Ah,
comics for hours.
that's what's fun about the comic shop.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. Everybody pronounces it wrong, especially the ones that say that they say it right. Don't worry about it. 62 says red shirt, red coat. I'm waiting for a red book. It's the same guys from Blue Book, but it's UFO stories from Russia and China. A Blue Book. I got another Scott Koblish book this week, except this one he does the insides in, and it's Archie versus Minor Threats. Versus. And Minor Threats is the Patton Oswalt universe from Dark Horse. That's the Minor Threats are these villains. Scott does a beautiful job on the artwork, switching between the Archie scenes and the Minor Threat scenes, and of course, lots of crowd scenes. And it's well written too. The Archies go on a class trip to the Minor Threat city, and everything goes to hell. They get caught up in this magic war, and Reggie, Betty, and Veronica and Archie end up being supervillains henchmen. So who's it written by? It's written by Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom, and Timmy Heeg. Scott Koblish on the art. Colors are Hi-Fi, and Nate Picos of Blambot is doing the letters. Pretty nice little splash page too. But nicely done. Very entertaining. If you're looking for a fun, entertaining Patton Oswalt Archie comic, pick up Archie versus the. I think there's 2 more issues of it. I don't remember. 1 or 2. Issue number 2, Dark Horse Comics from the world of Minor Threats.
I will never get into Archie.
Some of the non-kids Archie stuff, they're doing a ferment, like the Archie horror line is good. But it's nothing you'd like read a trade paperback of. They put it out in one shots, and you read a one shot of it, and it's fun. And you put it's nothing you're going to while away a Saturday afternoon reading a 300-page trade paperback of.
No, but I just never got into Archie. I never understood the appeal.
That's because most of Archie is for kids, and it has not been very good.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong for not getting into Archie. I never got into Archie either until the
and
last decade.
Archie also has never been that famous outside North America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that that's a very American. It's a very safe comic book
Yeah.
that was available everywhere. You could go into a supermarket and it was right at the cash register. So easy for a mother to give a crying kid, here's something to look at. And I think that
Right.
was the appeal of it, was that it was inexpensive and very well available everywhere. And more kids got to read it because it's the digest book. And it's only decades later when I ever went and really looked at it and realized, oh, these are just reprinting the same stories over and over again. And even some cases, all they did was redid the story with newer art. So it's no longer a big tube television set, is now flat screen. But it's the same story. It's the same joke. Drew it. I've seen that a few times. It's like, oh wow. But they've been doing it for years. Um, Again, it's one of those safe bets in buying a comic book for a kid.
Yeah, there was no reason for you to ever be into Archie. But these are, like I said, these Archies that they're doing now for grown-ups are pretty good comics.
Yeah. And those just have the plus of being written well enough that if you know the lore or Archie lore, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is neat. And it's
Right.
because of that kind of a thing. It works out because of that.
And the Archie TV show that came out recently, that was not for kids, influenced these a lot too.
Very
Mhm.
much so. The TV show was very CW
Right.
grown-ups that the names were used. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh,
Ye-
okay, so this kid is this kid. Okay, and that's about it.
Yeah, I tried watching a couple of episodes, and I mean, it's like they were trying to do Buffy and Lost at the same time.
Ha!
Yes.
I never watched any of it, so. Eric P also says there's a fun pop art element to Archie. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, those 60s pop art covers that I bought. I wanted to pull those out. I haven't looked at them in a while.
I'm
You
not
remember
sure if I
those
would
from
call
a
it.
couple years ago?
I don't think I'd call it pop art. I mean,
No,
there's
do you remember the covers that literally were referencing
yeah,
pop art in the 60s? That's what I mean.
yes, but still, I mean, it wasn't serious. It wasn't seriously pop art, if you can call
But
pop art serious. But
yeah, but that's what pop art did. It took unserious art that was around us and made us look at it different. It's not that Archie itself is pop art. I think
yeah,
that Archie itself could be looked at as pop art kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that rode a wave of anything that was in a comic book could be considered pop art. Because Marvel grabbed that and threw it on the cover for a while. That it
Marvel
said
Pop Art Productions.
Yeah, so that was because that was serious art at that time. Comics was a part of that for a hot
Yeah.
second.
Eric P says the last season of Riverdale is worth a watch.
Because at 10, if I was looking to try something that I hadn't tried before, and maybe we didn't have heart, the last time somebody tried to do Archie in Portuguese was in Brazil in the 1960s. So we never got those. But at 10, if I was trying out new stuff, I would be more likely trying to read Manara's Giuseppe Bergman, and Giuseppe Bergman is the PG-13 version of Manara, because it only shows tits.
And another comic, Wilson?
No, those are all my books today.
Oh,
I
is
only
it
had
all?
gotten 3 comics. We have
Three?
the Superman and Booster Gold, Vampirella Halloween Horror, and the Last Starfighter. The Last Starship.
Uh-huh.
Wilson, did you work on the new Mad Cave Phantom?
No, I have not worked on any of the Mad Cave books directly. Only on the on the paper cuts version of the novels. Because when Mad Cave came in and bought the place, they already had a stable of artists. So I have not been able to break out of the paper cuts area and go into the novel stuff. So
Just to see if they could have comped you an issue and we could comment on it, because I I don't understand why Americans don't understand the Phantom.
okay,
Because I've only ever seen crappy comics of the Phantom.
Yeah, this
When
is
I've
another
seen it.
one. I mean, okay, we're starting with the Sing Brotherhood. Well, I've been reading Phantom comic strips since I was 4. You know what I've never read? I've read it once when they reprinted the 1930 the first Phantom strip from 1937. But what I've never read in contemporary Phantom strips in the last 45 years.
Huh.
The Sing Brotherhood. They never appear on the comic strips. And anytime they try to do a Phantom comic, okay, guys, and the big enemy of the Phantom are the Sing Brotherhood. No, they're not. No, they're not. Nobody cares about the Sing. Nobody who does the strip uses the Sing Brotherhood. Shut up about the Sing Brotherhood. Stop using the Sing Brotherhood.
I've probably seen 3 Phantom comics my entire life. I don't even know if I read all 3.
Did they feature the Sing Brotherhood?
I have no idea. All I remember is they're pretty dull.
It's the Sing Brotherhood, and if it's not the Sing Brotherhood, it's the Sky Pirates. They appeared in the first 2 strips.
Sky Crime.
The only thing I know about the Phantom is the Billy Zane movie, the free comic book that they gave me from the movie, which was issue like 1013. I also have one of the rings because it was a promotional thing. I love rings. They're just fun. And the few episodes that he appeared in the Defenders of the Earth. So I don't know enough of the Phantom. I know
and that's not even the real Phantom. You know,
no,
the Phantom.
it's not.
Phantom,
It's
yeah, but Phantom 2040 is closer to Phantom lore than Defenders of the Earth.
Okay. So and the 2040 I got because those are Ditko issues. And I think that was a graphic album, or they started as a graphic album. They did other issues.
It was a 4-issue mini.
Was it? Okay. So
Yeah.
it was like special. Other than that, I don't recall if I ever got a Phantom book reprinting the strips. Actually, it was Flash Gordon that was gifted to me. So I never got to read anything of the Phantom. But the little that I've known of it, I like the character, I like the concept, I like the ideas. But I have not gone out looking for stuff on it.
Well, let's see. Tit Goblin says, I don't understand the Phantom because I'm not an 85-year-old man. And what we got here was complete
Tit
random
Goblin,
shit.
The Phantom will make sense if you read the original stories made in Norway in the original Norwegian. No, seriously, they have a Phantom comic in Norway. It's been coming out for like 60 years, and even American writers have worked on it.
Eric P. asks, is the Phantom an adventure book, jungle book, a spy book?
Yes.
Yes. I would say, of all the little bit of homework I've done on the Phantom, I would agree on all of those.
And Tit Goblin is quoting Wilson. I love rings. They're just fun. 2025.
Yep. I like collecting the superhero rings because there's not too many, but they're pretty neat.
I've got all of the Green Lantern color ones that were given away at comic shops years ago.
Yeah,
those are the only ones I know. And I probably have a Legion flight ring that was given away at comic shops, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's the big chunky plastic ones.
And there should also be Flash ring was given out.
Well, I don't know if I have a Flash one. I might though.
So there was the Flash. There was at least a couple of Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
They've done a few promotions of just regular Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Then they did all the color rings. And then they also did Flash, Legion, as you mentioned. Those are the main ones that were done as promotional ones and given out. Then for the Phantom, I have the ring with the skull on it. I don't have the other ring. There were 2 rings for the Phantom, and um, I think that's it on the rings that I have that are comic book, like the characters had.
Right.
Yes, on the
I
right
think
hand, the
I
Phantom wears the
think
skull ring,
right,
so he can
correct. I
punish
mean,
the bad guys. And on the
yes.
left wing, he uses the Phantom signet, which he puts on you to show that you are a friend of the Phantom.
Uh-huh.
And then I believe also there was rings in the Shadow. Although I only know that from the movie, I don't know if they stole that from the Phantom. Shadow had a ring, and the Shadow's buddies would have a ring. So this way here, you knew they were friends of the Shadow, kind of a thing.
You didn't have to learn a secret handshake.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just like a code. I think there was a code word. That was
And
part
Eric
of it.
P says there's a storyline in that last season of Riverdale that's basically about EC Comics. You don't have to watch the earlier seasons to enjoy it. Donald Rex says, my sister's Archies were the first comic books I ever saw, and they still appeal to me, especially Dan DiCarlo, Betty and Veronica's. Yeah, I know I read Archies when I was a kid, but they didn't really make a lasting impact on me. What Marvel character would have a ring?
The Mandarin has 10 rings.
Yeah, that's right. He's the ring guy.
He's the ring guy. He's the only guy that I can think of
Yeah, who else has a
that
ring?
has special rings.
100 magic rings.
Doom doesn't, but he should, because if he's the sovereign of Latveria, he should have the ring with the royal sign.
Marvel didn't, the Mandarin came and took all the rings, so
Yeah.
they never really did anything else with that. I'm sure there has to be other characters.
DC has all the capes and rings.
Yeah.
Dial H for Hero. Didn't they update that magic dial to a ring?
If they did, I was not around for that.
I think so.
I only remember Dial H for Heroes as part of that like double-sized books from that. If you can't find anything else, there's this.
I think the original was like a telephone dial.
Yeah, it was just
And
a big.
then in like the version from the 21st century, they updated it to a ring with a dial on it.
Oh, okay.
That's Tit Goblin saying here. Every week, the Newfoundland Herald reprinted a Phantom page and a Spider-Man page and a bunch of random old news strips, hero books from before people had fun entertainment. They were never in order. Why would they be in order? What's the point of that?
Yeah, they're like fun. They're like funny and jokey, right? No.
And the Phantom ran in here in newspaper comic books that was being drawn by Paul Ryan for a long time, but I never read those strips. But
those
I know
are amazing.
Are they?
Yeah, and okay, so I was reading it on a page that had permission to reprint the last 2 weeks of Phantom strips. And it's a Phantom fan site, and so I just wait for the whole weekend on Saturday and go and see all the dailies because they have all the six strips on top of each other. Best action sequence I've ever seen in a comic strip. When the Phantom is kicking the crap out of the Python.
Huh.
The Python is a more regular Phantom villain who could appear in the damn comic book. But no, let's bring back the Sting Brotherhood again.
The Brotherhood. Eric P., I think that Marvel was afraid of being sued if they started having power rings. Even their Green Lantern knockoff, Dr. Spectrum, had a gem and not a ring. Dr. Spectrum in his power prism.
They couldn't because DC were ripping off Lensman.
Huh. If there had ever been a Phantom DuckTales crossover in the 90s, the Phantom would have a generation of fans. There
Well,
you go.
a lot of people fondly that I know fondly remember the Defenders of the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a new James Stokoe comic this week. Orphan and the Five Beasts, Baths of Blood. His artwork is always fun. And this takes place immediately after the last miniseries. I think it's been a year since, but it's like this very easily could have been issue 6 or whatever, because it's the aftermath of the first issue is the aftermath of the battle from the last issue. And here's something funny. There is where's the orphan? There's the orphan walking in next to the pregnant woman, and all of a sudden the orphan took off her clothes and had boobs. And I was like, the orphan is a woman? I don't remember that. And it's very much, come on, minimize. It's very much a Hong Kong movie, Hong Kong kung martial arts movie, where she's got this big giant spear that she kills people with. And I think in the first series, she was like she trained with this kung fu master who trained all these other people too, and the five beasts betrayed the kung fu master, and I think they killed him. I don't even remember. And now she has to go out and destroy these five beasts. And I think she killed like one or two of them. As I expected her, like, if I remember the last series, she like killed the first beast right away. So I was like, oh, I guess they're going to kill one beast an issue. But then it took her till like the end of the series to kill the second beast. And I'm like, well, that's not even an ending. Then as it starts this issue, we found out that second beast might not even be dead. So it's kind of like they're breaking it down into miniseries, but they're not even really miniseries. But another enjoyable James Stokoe book. He's a lot of fun. Tit Goblin says, that's great art, Jared. Who's the artist? It looks familiar. It's James Stokoe. Stokoe. I first discovered him doing Godzilla, Half Century War. He was around before then, but that's when I first saw him. No, that was somebody else. But he's been doing stuff for a while. I usually pick up his stuff when I see it. And it's a lot of fun. He did a nice Godzilla. That Half Century War is really good. Did you pick that one up, Wilson? Do you remember it?
I remember the title. I think I picked it up because I think that ran like twice. Like I think there was a sequel.
No, there was
that.
only one series of it that James Stokoe did, at least.
Right. Okay. I do recall it coming out. I'm pretty sure.
But they reprinted it a few times in a few different formats.
Okay, so that's where it might have got mixed up with it. But I do recall when it first ran.
But like I said, that's where I first saw him, and I've been buying his stuff ever since. Stories told in the wrong order on purpose are bad enough. The stories are told in the right order. It's just you don't get an end of the story for the first. I was pissed when I missed that Godzilla, so I'll get this. I like him a lot. Yeah. What was that, Paolo?
You should see when they try to do. There's a British sitcom from the 80s called Allo Allo, and they broadcast the episodes out of order in the US. and it's not. Look, every episode is as the gag of the episode, but there's a certain continuity in each season, and of course, being a British, so each season is only 6 episodes, except for one which was made specifically so it could be syndicated in the US. So there are 22 episodes. The writing is not so good, but they took all of the other seasons and they put it all out of order and you can't, because the painting of the fallen Madonna with the big boobies is in a different place in each season. So yes, there's a painting of the fallen Madonna with the big boobies, which the Gestapo is trying to move out of France. That's that's the main that's the main plot of the show.
I, of course, immediately flash back to Fox running Firefly out of order, famously in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
Oh. That was not good.
What could have
Captain
been.
Kennedy. We all love the framing device. You're probably wondering why I'm covered in blood. No. Kit Goblin. He kind of reminds me that everything looks like Candy Book from a few years back. Still can't find that either. Lots of great new stuff. Yeah, that Candy Book was that was the racing one. The one with robots racing cars that Paolo says, robots do not need to be racing cars.
Yes, the robots will race.
Uh-huh.
The robots will turn into a car, so you should be doing Transformers.
Aloe, so good. Eat it, you stupid woman. Can you not tell I am helping Yvette adjust her stockings?
That was also the joke. So each episode. So here's the thing: the main star of the show was a pudgy, balding, 50-year-old man with a mustache. The story set in France during World War II. There are French characters who speak English with a French accent, German characters who speak English with a German accent, an Italian captain who speaks English with an Italian accent, and then there are British airmen who speak English. All of the characters understand each other except the English, and the English understand nobody else. Okay.
That's fantastic.
So the main character is the owner of a cafe who is because he's friendly with the occupying Nazis. The French resistance forces him to spy on them and report back to London. So he's also considered a hero. The thing is bald, 50, fat, and for some reason is a babe magnet. All the women want him. So he's married. So he has his wife, who he doesn't really love anymore, and he has 2 mistresses, which are the waitresses from the cafe, and none of the mistresses know of each other, and they don't know, and the wife doesn't know of any of the mistresses. Uh-huh. So the joke is Edith, who is René's wife, in every episode would walk in on René and Yvette doing something, being close together, and there was the catchphrase. Everybody had a catchphrase, and everybody would repeat the catchphrase in every episode, and we still loved it. So 90 episodes of catchphrases. And it was, René, what are you doing with that serving girl? And they would go, you stupid woman. Can you not see I'm coming up with the most harebrained excuse ever that only an idiot would believe?
Tit Goblin wants to know if this foolishness is on YouTube, Paolo. It seems something that would have been big back here in the British days.
Oh yeah, it should. If not full episodes, you should see plenty of clips.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of European wars, another issue this week, Lazarus Fallen issue number 4 is out. And so far, this series has been taking place in France, though they're trying to make it to the Mediterranean so they can escape to North Africa. And this is the one where there's no more governments, there's families and family corporations that run the world. And they have their Lazaruses, who are superheroes or super military people, super Navy SEALs. This whole one has been about Forever, who's the Lazarus in one of the very big American families. And at the end of before this series launched, she finally went rogue. She's tired of working for the family. She's going rogue. she's with the Free French at the moment, but the French are also ruled by a couple of different families in a couple of different areas, and she's got other families, Lazaruses, coming after her now, and they're named Lazarus because they have long lives too, because they use science to stay, just like the kings and queens, the rulers use end up living long, and the art is by Michael Lark, and it's terrific art. Nope, wrong thing. I went to the 3 dots again. It's got this very chiaroscuro light and shade, film influenced art. So it's a good book. Where does Michael Lark come from? He did stuff for Marvel, didn't he?
Name is not familiar.
He did for DC.
Was it? Written by Greg Rucka, art by Michael Lark, colors by Santiago Arcus, letters by Ariana Mayer.
Rucka and Lark did a lot of Batman-related stuff together, including Gotham Central.
Oh, Gotham Central. That's where I must know him from. And Greg Rucka loves his back material. Loves it. You will get all sorts of world building that I never read in the back material. But here's something I can't stand that he's been doing. Not much in this issue, but just a little bit. All dialogue in French is translated on the final page. So if you want to know what they're saying, you got to go to the back. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Can't you just give me the triangle brackets and write it in English?
Yeah. Put it right on that same page or translate it for us. I do not want to do homework and look up the answers at the back of the book.
Yeah. So I just skip all the French stuff. And like the first or second issue, I had to skip like 3 pages. And it's just like, oh, stop it.
Well, I wouldn't skip it because I can read it.
Don't be a show off.
Yeah.
Eric P says Lark did, Gotham City PD and Terminal City. Oh, Gore Vidal is here. Evening. I'm glad Lazarus is back. Me too. Been enjoying it. I am also surprised to see the Phantom is back in the U.S. Lark worked on Daredevil. Okay, Daredevil.
Oh yeah, with Brubaker. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I know him, but I never read any of those comics. So.
Well, he has that interesting style that is very appropriate for urban settings.
Gore says, I thought about Paulo when I read the French in Lazarus. I took French in high school, so I can read about 1/10 of the words.
Yeah, ça doit être très, très facile, non?
No.
Pourquoi pas?
My first language was Spanish, and I'm part of the American New York educational system, so they beat that out of us. We weren't allowed. And then I was going to take French in high school, but my mom wouldn't allow it. She said, you got to take Spanish, and I still know nothing. So
you should have taken Sicilian.
Sicilian. That just reminds me of a clip of It's Always Sunny. Did either of you two watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it regularly, but I've seen a few episodes here and there. I'm not into the cringe humor, but I get it. There's some stuff that I saw that was funny.
There's one character in there who the running joke is he can't read. So it was like, I think 2 seasons ago, that's the running, he can't, they're always like, he can't, Charlie, I can read. And so they had an episode that took place in Ireland, I think 2 seasons ago. And Charlie's looking for his pen pal in Ireland. And so they're in some library somewhere looking something up. And his buddy there, Mac, is like, this isn't going to help us. None of it's in English. And he's like, no. And Charlie's like, no, I can read it. And he starts reading the Irish in English. And he's like, he says, yeah, he's here. He's down by this. And Mac just looks at him like, what? You can read that? He's like, yes, this is the gibberish language that my pen pal taught me. And Mac is like, hold on, you can't read English, but you can read and speak a whole other language? He's like, I can't speak it. My mouth is made for American. It's not made for gibberish. But then it ends up, he ends up, it's what's his name? Cole Meany
Yeah,
from
the guy
Next
from
Generation.
Yeah.
Turns out his pen pal was really his dad. So he starts telling his dad he can't talk Irish in Irish. And his father's like, and Colm is speaking to him, and I go, "You're talking it right now." He's like, "What?" He's like, "No, this is the gibberish that my pen pal taught." I just saw that clip again, and it cracked me up. That show cracks me up. Wilson should have taken Norwegian so he could read Phantom comics.
Yes.
It wasn't an option in the school in the Bronx.
No, my
No,
option.
but it probably was in Wisconsin.
Yeah, maybe.
My options were French and Spanish, and I should have taken Spanish. It would have been more useful, but I picked French because I thought French was cool.
No, you shouldn't pick French because you want to be cool. You should pick French because you want to be annoying.
Well, I didn't know that in the 7th grade.
Yeah, 7th grade us were or at least 7th grade me was not interested in. It's like, why should I take this language?
Yeah.
It's more like, I got to take this language. Well, which one do you want to take? Well, which one has more girls in it?
Depends on the place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think speaking French gets you more girls outside France.
Well, most likely, yeah.
Apparently, the music group The Pogues got their name from Irish phrase Pogue Mahan. Captain Finity tells us. Okay, I'll believe you.
Sure.
Our P says isn't an option anywhere in high school that I know of. If you want to study any Scandinavian language in college, there are only a handful of schools you can go to. Yeah. No one was offering Norwegian in my school.
Oh, we don't learn Scandinavian languages here either. When I was in high school, you could learn, not high school. We got it in middle school. Now they're teaching English to third graders. I think it's ridiculous because when you're 8, you're still not entirely.
Well, they say the younger you learn a language, the better you'll be at it.
Yes, that's true. Although you do need an environment for it.
Yeah, you need.
So you learn a foreign language in school, you're not going to master it. It doesn't really help if it's only inside. Because I learned English in a language school,
right,
which is different than learning it in high school.
Yeah, I didn't learn anything. The French I learned in high school did me no good, and that's what it is in most. If you can't go somewhere and speak it, you're never going to learn it and remember it.
Right.
Yeah, you have to immerse yourself in it, and
yeah,
it's.
In New York City, you could probably go somewhere and learn a lot of languages.
There are more places now, but before,
my suburbs now.
Yeah,
I'd have a better chance of learning Spanish because there was a lot of Puerto Rican people in my area then, and then Dominicans. So I would have I would have had a much better chance of learning Spanish than French. There was nowhere I could go and speak French except in French class.
Yeah, we could choose either English, French, or German because French was still nominally the intellectual language, even through
it was
the 80s.
Still the lingua franca
of the arts, if no longer sciences. Or we could learn German because for business, it would come in handy in the future. And even though Spain is right next door to us, we could not learn Spanish in school. But then again, it's always been the generalized opinion that Portuguese don't need to speak Spanish. We just Spanishize Portuguese and they'll understand us. which is not true because the Spaniards can't speak foreignese.
In the 80s and into the 90s, I know Japanese became bigger in a lot of American schools. And then I think in the late 90s, it switched to Chinese until now. So it's like easier to learn Chinese in a lot of schools.
Yeah, now you should probably start to learn Hindi.
Yep.
Yeah, in the 90s, I was trying to learn Japanese. And again, if you're not immersed in it, it's like there was only maybe 3 people I knew who could talk a little bit. And then, but again,
Right. Eric P. Junior high, we had French, Spanish, and German. Spanish and German were taught by the sons of Germans who had gone to South America after World War II.
uh huh.
Mhm.
Did they go on
Captain Fish says,
vacation?
I learned English by moving to England. Unfortunately, I soon forgot Polish. Yeah,
What? There's a
if
bunch
you're
of
young.
Polish. There's a bunch of Poles in England.
He
It's so
obviously wasn't brought around to them. Because, like I said, I
it's
don't know how
but
old he is, but it used to be like, especially in America, if you were an immigrant, they didn't want their children to learn the language that they spoke growing up. They
yes, but
wanted them to assimilate. I
right, but
think that's
In Europe,
changed.
we hate each other, so we want to maintain as close ties to the place we come from as possible.
Another comic I got this week. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Rite of Spring. This is the one that's about a serial killing bear in this, who, once again, I keep forgetting is a woman. Because how can you tell? They're anthropomorphic animals. Patrick Horvath is doing all the art. And with Atsmain Elhau is on the lettering. And this one has been this woman right here, the duck. There's our serial killer, who is that bear. And this woman, who is the duck. In the very first issue, we were introduced to her, and her brother disappeared all out of New York City. This all takes place in a town like an hour outside of New York City. Not even in New York. It might be in Vermont or somewhere. I forget where. But she has been living in New York City for the last like 40 years trying to find out what happened to her brother, who was a victim of this serial killer. So she's been online trying to figure, she put her whole life on hold. She's wrecked her whole own life trying to find her brother, figure out what happened to him. Well, in the first issue, she got an email from someone who said, you should go up to this small town outside of New York. You might find some clues there. And it turned out it was the serial killer who sent her that email. So now she's out in that small town trying to find some clues. She's been introduced to the serial killer, but she doesn't trust her. She doesn't trust her at all. So, and we got some backstory on the serial killer in this one too. But like in the first series, we kind of were on the side of the serial killer only because in this town, another younger serial killer popped up who figured out she was a serial killer and wanted to team up with her. And this guy was a complete psycho. So we were kind of on the side of the bear woman serial killer. And this issue, you're like, oh, we're not on her side anymore. So it's an interesting read. Interesting read. Return to Sleepy Hollow. I like the art on the back of that ad. I think it has something to do. Oh, Tim Burton.
Looks like tarot art.
Yeah, Eisner Award winner Casey Gilley and visionary artist Savannah Mayer. Fall 2025.
All right, so they're returning to Sleepy Hollow, which I guess is based on that Johnny Depp movie. It's also on the back ad for
there we
one
go.
of my comics as well. It's on the
Nice
back
ad.
of the IDW ad for Last Starship.
Yeah, this is also an IDW book, so it must be Paramount Pictures. Let's see. You know it's Ms. Pac-Man, Jared, because she has a bow in her hair. Just throw bows on all the heads when you read it in the second time.
Then you have a Remark book.
Yeah. I saw Chris was doing some Remark books of his covers. He's drawing all over them, putting extra costume stuff on.
Oh, neat! I didn't get to see that. I haven't really been on Facebook all that much.
And the last book I got for the week here, Monstrous, issue number 60, which has just been good. I mean, all the major characters are having like getting into fights and having battles, and there's monsters in half of them, and the monsters are fighting each other, and the people are fighting each other. Half of them are trying not to die. It's impossible to explain the plot of this book because so much has happened over the 10 years. But
So 60. This ends another arc. Yes?
I think it does, but it ends with a cliffhanger. It
So
ends
it
with a
comes back.
to be continued. So
Right. So now you have to wait another 6 months for the book to restart.
it's they'll be back in Monstrous. Monstrous will return in 2026. I think it usually returns in February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a few months off.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm okay with it.
So it's but it's to be continued. Like, oh no, did they really shoot Bobby?
Eric P says, I just read Beneath the Trees where nobody ready to spring. Oh, there's a Sleepy Hollow preview in the back. Oh, I think I must have skipped over it. Let's see. No, this is 30 Days of Night preview. So it's not this one. This one's got a 30 Days of Night preview. Sometimes I read the preview, sometimes I don't. Maybe it's in another IDW book. Did I get anything else from IDW this week? I don't think so. Maybe it was last week. Yeah, but I'm down to 3 Walking Deads I need. I need issue 7, which I have slated for around $75, but I keep seeing it for too high. I've got issue 10, which for some reason is a more expensive one. I have it slated for $40, but it's been even higher than that. And I've got issue 14, which I've slated for $15, but it's been even higher than that. And some of these are hard to find in good condition too. It's like the ones that are black, like those 2 that I bought a little scuffed up for cheap, or cheaper at least. But it's like, and no one's buying these too. I keep looking in the sold section. It's like I'm the only one buying old Years of Walking Dead right now.
Well, there's that time where it's like everyone went out and got them all.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing things where, since I'm on eBay a lot, I'm seeing things that normally was like, wow, this used to go for a lot of money. Now it's kind of like stabilized.
Yeah.
And I think The Walking Dead is to that point that even though there are,
it's not rising exponentially like it once did.
Right, exactly.
But there's also, I just put a bid on I think it was an issue 10 CGC one. It was like I have that one slated at $40, but I can't find a good one at $40. So I'm like, but I saw one that was CGC'd at a 9.0, which no one is ever going to buy. No one is buying a 9.0. No one wants it.
Yeah.
And I think the price came down on it to like $75. And I was like, I ain't paying $75 for that. But I was like, you know what? It had to make an offer. So I had made an offer at like 60. I'm like, I'll go $20 above what I think I'm going to pay for a CG seed version. Why not? It was immediately, it was auto rejected. And I was like, okay, I don't need any more. That 9.0 Walking Dead number 10 is going nowhere for a long time.
Right.
Because if people want a Walking Dead number 10, they want a 9.8. Eric P says, my mistake. The preview is in the back of the Twilight Zone number 1 from IDW. I didn't even see that one.
No, I didn't even know they were working on that.
I know they came out with one a couple years ago, but I didn't know they came out with a new one. I often overlook the licensed books. Like one of the ones I overlooked recently that's supposed to be good and is by a writer I like is The Invisible Man. James Tynion, who I buy like 3 James Tynion written books. He just came out with The Invisible Man. I think it's IDW, one of these licensed books. But I didn't even pay attention to it because I don't pay attention to those too much. But I've seen good reviews of it, and I went, oh, I really should check that one. I should have checked that one out. I think issue 2 just came out.
That
So
being
maybe
done by
one day, but
that being done by the studios that had put out the Frankenstein and the
yeah, I
Dracula
think
book
so.
and the Gillman.
I
Because the
think so.
Gillman was the one I really liked.
Yeah. Like I said, all those have got pretty good reviews. But I still pay no attention to them because I'm just so used to paying no attention to licensed books.
Right.
But that one, they had issue 2. I was like, oh, if they had issue 1 lying around, I might. But like I said, I already had 9 books this week, so I didn't need anything extra. Last 2 weeks I had 9 books, so there was no room for anything extra. Mm-hmm. Oh, my emails came in from my comic shop, so I'll get to order some books tonight.
Yeah, I got my notice that my pull list book got pulled and paid for, so it should be ready for next week.
All right.
Yeah, with multiple distributors, how do you guys pre-order nowadays?
Like I said, my comic shop takes care of all that. My comic shop sends me an email every week with most everything in the email where I just have to click on a link and put it on my list. Now, it doesn't have every little small press book in the world, but it has most of the big small press stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have to look through. If I find out about a book, I could either, that week I will hand them a piece of paper saying, order me this book, or I can send them an email.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for me.
Right. But yeah, most stores don't do that,
no,
right?
No.
Right.
So
yeah, so for Midtown, I already had at the beginning, you have to have at least 10 books for your pull list for that to be constant. So I picked 10 books that I know would kind of always be in print. Spider-Man, Superman, stuff like that. I forget the other ones, but those were the main ones. Gotcha Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers. So those are kind of like always there. As far as new, I haven't had to pre-order anything yet. And something like the Kirby book, I was able to find it on their own website and just click, I want this, and it gets put onto
They're their own distributor, so they got
Right.
that warehouse up. Where's their warehouse? In Queens somewhere?
Yes. So that was easy for me. So I haven't had to order something new or go really looking for something as of yet.
Yeah, you can order right from their website, so it's easy.
Yes.
But not all comic shops can do that.
Yeah, so far that's how I'm getting my books.
Mm-hmm. Like I love I love getting the email every week and going, ooh, let's see what I can find. And I immediately do a search for Koblish and G. Russo just to see if they got any covers that week. So, and that's just like the search feature in the browser. That's not even, searching them. I just use the browser for search people to search for their name. Hey, it's Sleepy Reader coming on here at the end. How you doing?
Welcome. I do miss going through previews, though. I do miss getting that phone book-sized book and sitting there and going through it. I never liked looking at their PDF version of previews. I always liked having the physical book. And I don't know if it's because it's like all this potential stuff that I never will buy, but I like looking through that book.
I did not like looking through previews only because I could then see all the stuff that I couldn't afford. It was just like there's so much stuff in previews.
Well, I couldn't afford most stuff, so
yeah, I couldn't afford it, but I liked knowing that they existed.
Yeah.
I'm talking, if I were to look through let's just say I got 9 books this week 9. Let's just say I'm getting 40 books a month. That's a lot of comics.
Mhm.
Yes.
If I were to look through previews, I guarantee you I could find another 40 books that I wanted to order.
Yeah.
Just weird small press stuff here and there, and I'd be like, ah.
Well, there was always a month or other when I would go through previews. Man, I want 6 trade paperbacks,
Yeah,
and I couldn't afford 6 trade paperbacks.
right.
Occasionally, I'd go for a fourth.
There was always way more than I could afford, and
Yeah.
that's 6 trade paperbacks, knowing you couldn't afford 20. If you could afford 20, you'd find 40 trade paperbacks.
Mhm.
The thing is,
And
if
you
I could
start
afford
again.
if I could afford 20 paperbacks a month, I could afford an actual house, not an apartment. So because I would need the room.
Right.
You have no idea. Okay, so 20. If I could buy 20, that would be a shelf, an entire shelf by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, in saying 20 trade paperbacks, I had 20 comic books in my brain. One trade paperback is 6 comics at least.
Yeah.
I was like,
But
you're right. That would fill up really quickly.
yeah,
Which
but
also,
sure, but that would, as I said, there would be the occasional month when, oh man, I want 6, but I can't have 6, so I scratch. Eventually, I would forget they existed. Well, them's the breaks. But I mean, I will pre-order, and I always pre-order because I was never sure
right.
if the shop was going to order a trade paperback, even
Yeah.
if it was an X-Men one.
Yeah, you got
I would
that's
always
something
pre-order.
I would you can't count on them getting it in. You can't count on them knowing that you want it and would buy it if it was there.
Right.
Yeah, and I've ran into the problem where I would order something from the catalog, and it's like, all right, I want this thing. It's special. It wasn't a comic book. I think it was a toy. It's like I want this. I'll save up for it. By the time it comes to the shop, I'll have it. And a month or two went by, and it's like, hey, I ordered this thing. What happens? Like, it was never fulfilled. What do you
Yeah.
mean? The distributor never sent it.
Yeah.
Like that could happen. It's like, yeah. It's like, why? Why put it in the catalog if it doesn't exist? And then it's like to find out later that there were plenty of independent books that would be in the catalog but never get published.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I wasn't too worried about ordering stuff in the catalog because there was also the chance it's not going to show up.
Yeah. See, Eric P says, I send my LCS email for what I want 3 months out. Sometimes that can be a problem because then they got to keep track of it for 3 months. But if it's not in their system yet and they can't actually order it, they got that. I found that's the problem with a lot of times the comic book companies will announce something coming out, but you can't order it. So now if you go in and tell your comic shop to pre-order it for you, they can't. And they now have to keep track of your pre-order for another, because it's not in that month's previews or whatever. So that can be a problem too. But the first time they were telling me they can't get books from publishers who don't use their distributors. Yeah, that can be a problem. I miss previews. My LCS is still manual. He's older than me and afraid of technology. 62 says, I look at Lunar Dark Horse websites. Damien, 62, saying hello to Damien. Do I buy this awesome looking new Starstruck collection or pay the power bill on time? Literally me right now. Never grow up.
Buy the Star Trek collection. Read the book by candlelight.
There you go.
I was just looking at my Starstruck collection. It's pretty.
Yes.
The story is a little iffy, but it looks good.
Yes. The main problem is that thing is very, very dense, and it has no reason to be dense.
And it wasn't meant to be one big story. But oh well, it's still good stuff. I'd still recommend it just because the art is so nice. And it's a good book. The one I have is a really nice book, too. The cover and such. Oh, you know, it's even worse when you this reminded me. There are some comic shops that won't order stuff for you. I've heard that complaint so many times. They just want to do Marvel and DC. And even if you're like, hey, I want this, can you order it for me? They'll say no. And I'm like, they don't want to bother with you and your one comic.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, that's why I'm always grateful for my comic shop. They'll track down whatever I want. They'll even order stuff from mycomicshop.com. In terms of sometimes they get skipped a book. Like some random issue of something never makes it into the store. So he'll go on mycomicshop.com and order it for everybody. You know, the 4 people who ordered it.
Right.
It's never, a Spider-Man that, 50 people buy. It's always the book that 4 people ordered and it never showed up.
Yeah, there used to be a comic book shop in Westchester where the owner would, you would ask, "Oh, I would like to get that statue," and he'll go, "No."
No.
He felt that you weren't deserving of it, or whatever the decision
I
for
think
that day was like, no.
I think for that stuff they should take a deposit. But that's it. I mean, because they got burned on a lot of statues. They got burned on someone saying, "I want to order that. Order me that statue," and then never showed up again.
If you've been a regular for 5 years, they should order that.
That's a different thing.
That's a different thing. But here's the thing. I'm sorry I didn't explain it correctly. The statue was already in the store.
Oh.
What?
The statue was in the store.
He just didn't want to sell the statue. He liked it.
He didn't want to, and I don't know. I think that was part of it.
He liked
it. I think it was more of the decor of the store.
Right.
Or that maybe he didn't want to go in the back to find the box.
Right.
That the statue goes into.
Okay,
he liked that statue. He didn't want to get rid of it.
Now, I understand if he likes having the statue, it's part of the decor. It should say the statue's not for sale; it's part of the decor. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. No, he would look at you and decide, no, you're not worthy of it. There was these little quirks that he had where it was like, it would just be one of those odd things.
Yeah.
So it's like the maid from Family Guy. Can you sell me that statue? No.
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 Well, we should let Paulo get to bed.
And think about the Phantom.
Think about the Phantom.
The ghost who walks.
That is a good tagline.
It is a very good tagline.
Good tagline. I do like it. The ghost who walks. All right. Next week, Paulo's channel, and I won't be here. I'll be looking at portfolios at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center.
Okay.
Of high school students.
Be sure to eviscerate each and every one of them.
Comics is not for the weak.
No,
This is a pencil, not a magic wand.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Tonight, Jared Osborne becomes Simon Cowell.
All right. So everybody have a good one out there.
See ya.
Catch you next time.
Take care.